right. Oh, it's 2-0 Coyotes. Let's go.
There we go.
Oh, boy. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Coyotes podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here with Petey and Craig and Danielle.
I like that reminder, actually.
Yeah, if you're going to get reminded of
a
a
bright
game,
moment in a dark week.
I'm glad it was a win and not a loss.
Yeah. We could put up any score against Toronto because that would be a win.
That
also.
would be a win also.
They always
Correct.
beat Toronto.
Lots to talk about today. It's the quarter mark of the Coyotes season, 20 games in. We're going to talk all about that. But before we get to all of that, it's time for our weekly segment with Pete and DJ of What Chaos? Chaos Theory, as we like to call it. So Pete and DJ, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
I feel like you guys need theme music at this point.
I know.
Oh, Chaos Theory theme music.
Yeah.
We should.
Yep.
Maybe next week.
Next week.
We'll
We'll
We
have
should
level
just
up.
send you our theme song because our theme song is an
Your-
absolute heater.
Your
It's a
intro
ripper.
video is so cool. It's so
we don't
fun.
play enough, so we got to figure it out. We don't play enough of it, and I know that you don't want to play like the full intro. We're not doing it justice by only playing 5 seconds of it.
Okay,
We
well,
need at least
Well.
7 to 8 minutes of it.
Now I'm intrigued.
so yeah,
That's right.
we can incorporate it on our show just to get it some more airtime.
If your
For sure.
producer can make that happen,
Yeah,
he's not too
where,
busy.
where is
Yeah.
Sean these days?
Yeah, where is he? Work.
He
We're-
skipped out on this hit. He's very lazy.
Hmm.
And
Something
know.
about
he's really
sick of
slacking
us.
already.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sus. All
we
right.
know.
Well, we're going to talk, obviously, about a little bit of the NHL news going on because that's what you guys do, but we're also going to talk a little Coyotes with you guys as well. So right off the top, we will start with kind of, I think, one of the bigger storylines going on in the NHL right now, and that's Patrick Kane. And I want to know from both of you what you think is the best fit for Patrick Kane.
DJ, do you want to go? We talked about this
I was-
morning.
Yeah, I was going to let you go. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think for a like pure fit, Detroit makes a whole lot of sense. I know that they're kind of the leader in the clubhouse right now, and I feel like it's for a decent reason. They could use him on the right side, and DeBrincat and that connection obviously makes sense. They can offer him a little bit more flexibility in terms of the contract, and they've got the money and all that. So I think that makes the most sense. But in terms of what would drive the best narrative, Buffalo is still a really, really appealing destination.
Yeah, I like Buffalo just because I'm assuming he's kind of washed, and maybe that's ambitious, but I think it's more ambitious to think a guy coming off a hip injury at his age is going to make a huge impact. I think that the smartest thing for him to do would be to take a 1-year dirt cheap deal with one of the better teams in the league, like call a Vegas or Los Angeles or whatever and be like, hey, I'm going to ring chase. That would be the best fit for him. I don't like that every time the Patrick Kane conversation begins, it's, well, how many years do they want to go? How many years do they want to go with him? They want to know if he's still good. Like if I'm a team trying to sign Patrick Kane, I want to find out if you're still good before committing multiple years. So the best fit is ring chasing on low money, I don't think he's doing
if you're
that.
Patrick Kane, if you're washed, wouldn't you want the term? Like if you take a 1-year ring chasing deal, it's the last one you're going to get probably.
But my question is if who's ring chasing with Patrick Kane? Like you said, we did to the Rangers. I thought he blew up the whole Rangers room. I think he was a personality that didn't fit. I think they already had a better player in him with Panarin. Panarin is a better Patrick Kane. So if you're ring chasing, does Patrick Kane fit? Or is he a guy waiting for a team to get injuries or maybe a secondary power play guy? Or is he Phil Kessel on the Golden Knights that maybe if the spot arises, he's a fourth line winger?
So honestly, like if I'm going after a Patrick Kane, Phil Kessel last year with the Knights is what I have in mind. Or God, Ilya Kovalchuk with the Canadiens and the Kings in recent years, where it was like, all right, we're going to sign you. We'll give you a couple of million and let's find out if you still have anything, but nothing is promised here. I don't know that you're going to play the 41 games or the X amount in the postseason that it takes to get your name on the cup. But if we win, we'll petition and you'll get your name on the cup. But we're not going to be relying on you. And the fact that he's asking seemingly for multiple years, I think means he has designs on having a bigger role, which is why if I'm a team like the Bruins who got tossed out there, I'm honestly probably saying no thanks then, because I want to keep as much money open going forward for future years and not have it tied up in a player that I don't know what I'm getting from.
All right. One question though, and I think Craig brought this up as someone who grew up a Blackhawks fan. Like, how do Blackhawks fans feel about a Blackhawk potentially playing on the Detroit Red Wings?
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it happened with other players.
Yeah, that's
as well.
true.
I mean,
Chris
the
Chelios.
Blackhawks took Marian Hossa from the Red Wings, and that helped. But yeah, Chris Chelios went the other way, and that wasn't a very popular move. I'm more on. I don't get picking Detroit or Buffalo, unless, like you said, Pete, he's looking to hang on for a few years. But in this situation, I'd just be chasing cups at this point. I don't get it.
Yeah, but I also don't think Patrick Kane is the kind of personality that's going to be okay with just being a fourth line.
Right. He still thinks he's so used to being a superstar.
What about Chicago?
He's not coming.
No. So we talked about this. No on Chicago, because it's so clear. It's like the whole school knowing that you asked 5 people to prom and then asking someone to prom. Like, they got Corey Perry. They got Nick Foligno. They got Taylor Hall. And 2 of those players right now are not in the picture for them.
Right.
So to circle back on Patrick Kane, with all the history they've had, I think it's just kind of awkward. And if I were Patrick Kane, I mean, we're projecting a lot of pride onto him right now by saying, like, oh, well, he's not going to settle for a Phil Kessel type of role. Then why would he go back to the Blackhawks knowing he's not going to win anything and he's just going to kind of be a mascot?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And I guess we'll move on. But
I mean, if you just want to get into the playoffs, I guess going to Detroit or Buffalo is okay. But neither of those teams is winning a cup while Patrick Kane is contributing either. So, yeah.
My vote is Buffalo. I think that on the show today, I just threw it out like what jersey would look the best, because I think that at this point, I'm going to eat my words if he goes out and ends up being this unbelievable player. I think the most exciting thing about this Patrick Kane thing is, like, end of career Patrick Kane was actually playing a year for this team or whatever, like the Joe Montanas and the Tom Brady's of the world. Like, what's the most fun bonus team for it to be? So in 20 years, when our kids are getting jerseys of the player saying, wait, why'd you get a Patrick Kane Red Wings jersey or Blackhawks or Kings jersey or Knights jersey or whatever it may be? He was with the Blackhawks. I think the Sabres is the most fun one for that, because he's going home. He's playing with a bunch of kids. That would be cool.
And
I picked the Red Wings just because I love that jersey.
Taxi!
And I picked the Red Wings because I love the jersey, and also because I think that it would piss off Blackhawks fans, and I think that'd be fun.
It would definitely do the latter. So thanks, Pete.
That's true.
Thanks for sharing that.
Also, Sean in the chat, Buffalo ain't making the Yotes. He's already accepted.
Do they have Uber there now in Buffalo? So it's okay? Too soon? Too soon.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Next question on the subject of the Blackhawks. With Corey Perry and Taylor Hall out, which Blackhawks line mates best suit Connor Bedard?
I mean, from the looks of it, I think moving Kevin Korchinski to the wing and just having him play with him. I think that now they're encountering the slim pickings thing that most teams that end up with the first overall pick end up having. Like, do you do a father-son sort of thing with Nick Foligno? I think that you're going to enter the Bedard has to be the driver phase of his rookie year, which kind of was already the plan anyway.
I mean, based off their roster, just like slam your hand on a keyboard, and that's who Connor Bedard's line mate is going to be, because that's what they've got there. There's not much.
Have you looked, like, when you look at this roster, like a couple of the names in their forward group, you're like, that's not really a player. That's just like the mechanic that they threw down. Left wing lock has the mechanic's name because they don't know who's going to be on the roster yet. Like Joey Anderson, that's not a player.
That's
no,
it's
not. Reese Johnson, he's not.
I am looking at their lines, and I'd like to re-emphasize my Kevin Korchinski vote.
How about up the middle? Cole Gutman up the middle. Who? Like, this team is like rotten.
The real autofill situation that they have in their roster right now.
Like AI generated their lineup.
Yeah. It's like when you run an NHL franchise in a video game and you have like 12 guys on the roster and it gives you the prompt, would you like the computer GM to sign players for you? Yeah, go ahead. Just do that. Fill the roster, please.
The funny thing is, though, those guys are going to be playing with Connor Bedard, so we're going to be like, who's this guy that had 60 points?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
He's awesome.
Oh boy. All right.
Good.
Next question.
Well, part of our show today is looking at the Coyotes at the quarter point of the season, roughly. So wanted to open this up to the NHL for you guys and ask maybe what some of your biggest surprises are or disappointments, and that can be team related, player related, league related, because the league is often disappointing fans. Wherever you want to go with this, what are your takeaways from the first quarter of the NHL season?
I mean, biggest surprise I think for both of us, if I can speak for both of us, like the Bruins, we expected the Bruins to be good. I don't think we expected the Bruins to be great. And, they haven't been flawless, obviously, to start the season, but pretty close. And I was not expecting them to hang at the top of the league for the first month and a half. Disappointment wise, sorry to Sean, but like the Sabres bandwagon and that hype train was slowed so quickly to start the season. And I thought that maybe it was a little overblown how much hype they were getting over the summer. And like, I was the conductor of that train, but I didn't really believe that they were going to be an amazing team. I just think that I expected them to be in the mix for most of the year. And it's just been really, really disappointing to start the year.
I never thought the Sabres were going to be awesome. I thought that they were going to be an awesome time. I think that
fun.
A lot of the hype was wishful thinking and excitement, which is what you do when you have a fun young roster. But I'm not surprised that they're probably not going to be a playoff team. I am surprised that the Oilers, for as unsurprising as any mess should be with that team, I am pretty shocked that they have had 2 good games in a row, won 2 games in a row, and still somehow have 15 points on the season. Even when looks like things are looking up for them, you're like, God, they put themselves in such a hole. They burned the fire the coach card too early, I think, although they probably felt like they didn't have a choice. Jay Woodcroft, I think, is a fine coach, and they just needed to do something, but then they still stunk for a little bit, and now they're just going to keep trying every 4 or 5 games to get a little momentum, and they have it now. But we know the U.S. Thanksgiving thing, for as much as we laugh at it, is true. It holds up, and the teams that end up getting back in it when they're out of it at U.S. Thanksgiving are like tied for a playoff spot or 2 points out of a playoff spot, not 8, 9, 10 points out of a playoff spot. So that's been the biggest shock for me. I think the pleasant surprise has probably been the Canucks. That's been cool. I liked the start the Ducks got off to. I'm a little bummed out. We talked about the Leo Carlsson thing today. I'm bummed out that they're not really going for it and that they're okay with kind of the stops and starts, which is what they're experiencing right now. But biggest surprise for sure, I would say the Oilers being quite as bad as they've been.
And a team that's been really kind of a beneficiary of the Oilers being so bad is the New Jersey Devils, because the Devils have essentially been like the Oilers East in the expectations versus reality of the first month and a half of the season. I thought the Devils were going to be awesome, and they have been thoroughly mediocre to start this year, and that's been incredibly disappointing in the Eastern Conference.
One other team in the West that's really struggling is the Minnesota Wild, and Dean Evason over at the end of last season. Oh, we love Dean Evason. We're going to extend him. He's a great coach, and I read this morning that now he is officially in the very hot seat. What happens in Minnesota?
I mean, they've lost 7 games in a row. That is where you get to somebody has to get fired territory, even if you like the guy. I think that's probably is what ends up happening.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to care about the Minnesota Wild. It really is. And
notice my answer was like 8 seconds, and I've gone 5 seconds on everything else.
Asking you guys about Minnesota.
This Minnesota slander.
And it's not even slander. I just don't have feelings on them. And it's like they could be first in the Central, and I would still have the same answer. I just like, who cares?
The most exciting thing
not
that the Wild have done is their goalie had a goalie mask.
Yeah, that's the biggest news of the year in Minnesota. You're right.
That is the news of the year for the Wild.
Even Kirilla's not doing it this year. He's like the only reason to get excited.
And he's not.
That has been like the most boring team in the NHL for a decade.
That's fair.
I was going to say for a long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on, and we'll stop bringing up Minnesota every week. This is a question that I literally stole. Well, Petey will keep talking about Minnesota. I literally stole this question from Spit and Chicklets, but I think it's a really fun question. Did you guys watch the quarterback documentary on Netflix that followed different quarterbacks?
I watched a couple episodes.
Okay. So the question is, if the NHL did that and you chose 5 NHL players to have a season-long Netflix show on, which 5 NHL players would you choose and why?
It's selfishly Corey Perry right now because I kind of want to know what's going on there.
Yeah, fair enough.
But if it's a personal thing, then I don't want to know what's going on there. I think that we just all kind of want answers there. Kucherov, I'd throw out there. I'm probably not going to come up with 5. We don't do numbers on our. We're not numbers guys, but Kucherov I think would be a good one. Do Swayman and Olmark together?
Man. Like you got to pick somebody from the Oilers just based off of how entertaining they are all the time. And I wouldn't pick McDavid because it would be so boring.
Yeah.
Right.
And just he wouldn't give you anything. And you stick a camera in front of Leon Draisaitl's face, like 90% of the time he's going to say something pissy.
Yeah.
So to follow him for an entire season would be very fun. I think you got to throw Trevor Zegras in there, even if he's not, if he's overrated as a player, which I think he is, but he's not overrated as a personality. Like he's one of those guys that will just be entertaining. He's also dating like one of the most famous TikTokers in the world. Yeah. So like there's some intrigue there from like fan base perspective. Other than that, like I don't know who I'm jumping at to.
Maybe we could have Tyson Nash do the interview with Trevor Zegras too.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
I'd like to see Nathan McKinnon because he is just like so boring in an entertaining way. And there's a lot of talk about what he does in terms of off-ice training and dietary stuff. Would love to see how he lives his life.
Do you guys have any?
Yeah, I don't know.
In the chat, let us know.
Like, I look at guys that on, like, I'd want to see the personalities too. Is Jordan Binnington, because I know he's a nut job on the ice. Would he be the same off the ice?
Jack Hughes could be fun too.
Yeah. That's a good choice,
I don't
actually.
know. I hadn't put any thought into it. I don't know.
You didn't read the.
No,
you didn't read the rundown before.
Thanks, Pete.
No,
we sat down.
Kessel doesn't qualify as. I don't think Kessel's filed his papers.
No,
right?
But that would be fun.
He's
never
know with Phil.
Well, I'm following him right now.
Phil.
Like I'd like.
Right. What about Patrick Kane?
Patrick
Kane,
right
as he's shopping around his rights and stuff, would be very interesting.
That would be cool.
Fun. Yeah.
I think Austin Matthews would be cool too. How he dreams about coming home to Arizona
and playing for the Coyotes. Yeah.
Lifelong dream. I think I would pick really Nylander over.
Does they
Matthews?
Yeah.
Was that my segue, by the way? Were you segueing?
No, I wasn't.
Well, do the Coyotes.
Kind of a
this will be fun.
Yeah, just go for it. You don't need to point it out. You can just go.
I know the Boston market is laser focused on the Coyotes, so we're going to play Coyotes trivia with both of you. And here's how it's going to work. I didn't tell you the rules ahead of time because, frankly, I wanted to embarrass both of you. So we're going to put
cheating in the chat. Don't say
We're going to put a photo up.
Don't cheat in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody cheating in the chat. You can't give it away. We're going to put a photo up, and I'm going to give you a clue if you don't already recognize the player, and we'll see if you can simply name the player.
Name the Coyote.
Okay.
Sound fair?
Are these current or all
current?
All current, on-rostered players.
I'm getting 0. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was going to say that may be worse for you, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Can we put up Keith Tkachuk?
Yeah.
All right. All right. First one, Danielle. Let's pull it up.
Let's go. All right. This player led all rookies in points per game, 40 games minimum, last season. Can you name him?
Nikolai Hobby-Bulin.
Oh, man.
Quite.
I feel like Charles Barkley right now. This is like who he played for.
It's the Finnish
Coyotes.
fettuccine.
The Finnish fettuccine.
Matias Maccelli. That was Matias Maccelli.
He's leading the Coyotes in
Finished
assists again this season.
I knew. I thought you were asking Pete, so I didn't want to buzz in.
He somehow finished 4th in Calder Trophy voting behind Stuart Skinner, who is an absolute train wreck of a goaltender.
Yeah,
all right.
He rocked.
All right,
he's also like 33 years old. This is hilarious.
Fair.
He was a rookie.
That kid also, by the way, the person you just showed.
Looks like, you mean Matias Maccelli?
Yeah, Matias Maccelli looks like the TikTok kid who is doing the baby Gronk videos. Toss like a backwards polo hat on him to have him talk about Livy, and there you go.
Oh, that's spectacular.
All
right, Danielle, let's put up the next one.
This one, hopefully, you'll get.
All right. This player owns arguably the most famous dog in Arizona.
See, that's not a good clue.
It's not
a good clue unless you live in Arizona.
There's the dog.
Oh, boy.
Most famous dog.
I mean, the dog is not a good clue.
Should I give you another clue?
Yeah. Aren't coyotes dogs?
That's true. Desert dogs.
Here's the
second clue. He's leading the team in scoring right now in goals.
And goals scored. This player.
He has, in fact, he has
on the screen.
He has 10 goals
Shane
this
Doan.
month.
This
Yes.
month.
10 goals this month.
This month.
10 goals this month.
Yeah. Only one other player has more. Is that still true?
I think he's tied.
Tied for first
With
goals
Philip
in the
Forsberg.
whole of the entire league.
Yep.
He's tied for the most goals in the month of November.
Travis Boyd?
Maybe 2 years ago.
That was Lawson Crouse.
Lawson Crouse.
Okay.
Yes. We're getting there,
If
though.
you
We
had
got a
said,
couple.
if you were like, this guy was tall and he was a top 10 pick, I would
Yeah,
have been
right.
Lawson
Top
Crouse.
10
Oh, we
pick
got
out of
another one.
Florida. Here's another tall guy.
Yeah, this is another.
Oh, they'll never get this guy.
We going back up
No,
here?
if they didn't get Lawson Crouse, I'm worried
There's
about
no
their
chance
ability
this
to
guy.
get everybody else.
People in Arizona don't know this guy.
Yeah, that's true. Are we ready?
Are we ready, Danielle?
All right, let's do it.
All right. This player
Briere.
has these same what do you say?
Danny Briere.
Big difference, like a foot difference in height. This player has the same surname as an action movie character from The Simpsons.
Ooh, good clue.
That is a good clue.
I don't watch The Simpsons, damn it.
I don't watch
Sean's
the
in the
Coyotes,
chat. I'm
damn it.
ashamed right now.
Sean. Not the...
All right,
there's,
John
the,
Derek
Jersey.
knows.
there's the character.
Our D-backs host knows.
The answer is Jack
John
McBain.
Jersey?
That is Jack McBain. How many left are there?
There's 3.
Okay, because this is an
This is
hour
tough.
show.
We can-
No, do the whole roster. Do the
Yeah,
whole
right.
roster.
Oh, this one. If you get this one, like there's another
I'm
one.
engaged now.
All right, go ahead, Danielle. Let's go with the next photo.
Oh my gosh. All right. This next one, yeah, let's see. And
Uh-oh.
I'll give you a better hint than what Craig has.
All right,
So the hint he has
Subject of walking and talking.
is this player speaks 5 languages, but the better hint is he's a defenseman. Potentially.
He's from Switzerland.
And he's from Switzerland.
Wow,
Second round pick? Was he a
really
second round
narrowing
pick?
it down here.
Third round.
Oliver Ekman Larson.
Actually, kind of looks like Oliver Ekman left, kind of.
Oh boy.
no
that
idea.
was
That's
JJ
Mosier.
JJ Mosier.
JJ Mosier.
Ah.
Of
Speaking
course,
of
every
All right.
household name.
Auto-generated
The pain
players.
is almost over.
You
All
should
right.
know. Like this one, they might get.
Do
Just
you know who this is?
leads the league
Well,
in
they
penalty minutes.
can't see it.
Oh, they haven't seen it
Lawson
yet.
Crouse.
Leads
Yeah.
the league in
That's-
penalty
that's
minutes
your
for the
hint?
last
Okay.
2 seasons.
We haven't showed his face yet.
Oh.
Can you give
There
us
it is.
one where the guy's wearing like a C on his jersey or something?
No, because
All right.
they don't have one.
So yeah, what was the hint? Leads.
He leads the NHL in penalty minutes.
Carol Vomelka.
The Carol Vomelka show.
What
What was your
Go
clue?
ahead.
No,
What was your clue?
Well,
Craig
my,
said,
my clue is way more obscure than
yeah,
this. I'll
that's
never
not
get
a
it from
clue.
this.
It's just a fact.
This it's Liam O'Brien.
It's
just
Liam O'Brien.
tell you who it
O'Brien.
is. All right.
Oh my God! Is this guy playing the NHL?
Yeah, and this last one,
Oh, I'm gonna go all Pierre Maguire on you here. So let's put up this
This
last
is
photo.
crazy.
It's up.
This guy played for the Flin Flon
What?
Bombers, the same city that produced
What?
Hall of Famer Bobby Clark.
Is that true?
It is true.
He played for
Flin
Flin
Flon?
Flon.
I've had this conversation
That is-
about what it's like to be in
I
Flin
actually
Flon.
do know this one.
Do
That
you?
is head coach Wayne Gretzky.
nailed it.
Got
That's
it.
Connor
That-
Ingram.
That
That's
was
Connor
Connor
Ingram.
Ingram.
Okay.
Just
Oh,
had a
it
shutout
was. Oh, yeah.
of the Vegas Golden Knights last night, and we'll
Yep.
start again against Tampa Bay.
My takeaway from this segment is that Sean DePaz really needs to like get the Coyotes hype train moving on the What
Yeah,
Chaos
there were no
show.
Keller and
I-
Schmaltz. They might have got Keller and
Not
Schmaltz.
positive it's going to work, but
I realized that like I do not pay attention to guys' faces when
that's
I
fair.
walked into the Bruins locker
an ass
room
man,
during
as they say.
preseason. And yeah, that's right.
Oh
That's
Lord.
right. I walked into the Bruins locker room in the preseason and I was like, who the hell are half of these guys? I know that like half the team was brand new, but there were so many guys that I just did not recognize by their faces.
But I think if they put on a lid with a shield on it, I bet you would do better.
Right.
If
Yeah.
they're in their helmet, I think I can recognize more players
Because
than
the
with their
helmet
helmet
has
on.
the
You know
number
what-
on
you
it.
know
No,
what's
because
the
you're
weird
used to it.
the weird one with me when I would sit in the press box was I could identify people by their shoulders, oddly.
Oh yeah.
Like even if I
Well, that's
couldn't
because
quite
you were
make
looking
out,
at Milan Lucic.
like even if I couldn't make out
Yeah.
like a player's number or something, I could just tell either by their posture or their shoulders.
Yeah.
Like it's the damnedest thing. And then also looking at sticks is a big thing.
Interesting.
looking at sticks.
Yeah,
They
like
have
the
their names
handedness.
on them.
Be like,
Oh,
is this
just-
that guy or
my
that
mind
guy?
went
And then-
somewhere
They
else.
have their
Sorry.
names on them. That
I mean,
makes
after
it-
Assman, I
Yeah, after
understand why
Assman,
your
my mind went somewhere else.
I get
In the
it.
locker room.
Pete has
Looking at sticks.
Pete has the Brad Pitt thing where he remember Brad Pitt came out as being like, I can't I have like face blindness.
Yeah, well,
Oh.
Ren in our chat just said this just in Pete is face blind.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Hell yeah.
It's a thing.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we'll wrap this up. And before we let you go, what do you guys have coming up on What Chaos?
We're going to be identifying Coyotes players for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Should be pretty neat. We got Scott Darling on the show.
Oh,
Had a
former
great
Coyotes
draft pick.
Yep.
Former Coyotes draft pick came to
Yep.
camp with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah,
we have him on the show tomorrow. It's a pretty lengthy but very entertaining discussion. So very, very excited for that. We're reviewing Checking It Twice tomorrow, which is the Hallmark Christmas movie about the hockey player who's trying to get a call up to Boise?
The ECHL. He's trying to get to the
ECHL.
And
Wow.
if he can only prove it to the coaches, he'll get his call.
Which is the premise of the
He
movie.
finds
Is very
something
funny
else along the way, though, and I won't give it away. But he finds love.
What?
Oh,
In
really?
a Hallmark movie? Oh boy.
It's very funny because he's like 32 years old. He's trying to get a call up to the ECHL, and he's like, right after that, I'm going to the NHL. And I was like, that is not how that works, buddy.
Speaking of AI generated, that sounds like that script was AI generated.
Yeah,
right
for
there.
real.
Yeah.
Oh no,
boy.
I mean the movie rocks. Yeah, it's one of the better films.
All
Totally.
right. This is the kind of content you get on What Chaos, which you can catch Monday through Thursday on the What Chaos Show YouTube channel. And be sure to give them a follow on Twitter at What Chaos Show. Pete and DJ, thanks so much. And we will talk to you again next week.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys. Oh, man. All right. Great stuff, as always, from Pete and DJ of What Chaos and
I
Sean in
gotta
the
admit,
chat.
I thought they'd get somebody.
Lawson Crouse, I feel
Lawson
like, is
Crouse.
like recognizable at least.
Yep, apparently not.
Sean, if you're still here, you have some work to do. That's all I'm going to say.
Buddy,
But
flashcards.
But those two are hilarious. Like, as I mentioned, make sure you check out their show and wherever you get your podcasts as well, because they're a lot of fun and are always talking the latest NHL news in a very, very, very fun way. So check that out. Before we move on to talk about the Coyotes quarter mark, make sure you're tuning into Arizona's Family Sports to watch the Suns games. They're currently on a 7-game winning streak. The Coyotes don't know what that is because they can't win more than 2 games in a row. Sorry, that was very shady. But check out Arizona's Family Sports to watch all of the Suns games. They play the Raptors on the 29th at 5:30. My hometown team, the Raptors. So you can check that out on Arizona's Family Sports. And wherever you live in Arizona, visit azfamily.com and click Suns games for listing information for your area. AZ Family is a great resource to help you find Phoenix Suns games on Arizona Family Sports.
Go watch one of the best athletes to ever grace this city, Devin Booker. Man,
That shot last night, oh my God.
ice in
Unreal.
the veins. Just an assassin.
That
Wow.
was so good.
Wow.
Oh boy. And Thanksgiving's now behind us and we're staring down Christmas. It's coming up and I'm in the position where I'm like, oh my God, I got to get moving on stocking stuffers, on presents, and a really, really easy stocking stuffer right off the top of my head. Arizona lottery tickets, get holiday scratchers. Easiest stocking stuffer there is. They start at just $1. So you can literally buy one for like your Secret Santa, for your white elephant.
Do we have any in the office right now?
Yeah, we have a
I
ton.
wonder if Derek Montilla is still here so I can get a scratcher from him.
Yeah.
The Thrilla in
We
Montilla?
will be doing scratchers
Montilla,
live
like
on the show.
chinchilla.
I promise you that. And if any of us win, are you bringing us a scratcher?
You bringing us a scratcher?
Oh, okay. He's coming to kill Craig. I'll tell you about Arizona Lottery.
Good night, Irene.
Top prizes up to $500,000. So go out and buy your holiday scratchers today. All right, let's talk Coyotes. At the quarter mark, we're 20 games in, and the Coyotes are 9-2 and 1 point out of a playoff spot.
Crazy.
How are we feeling? Is this what we expected?
You know what's funny is the Vegas game, one game should not alter perspective this much, but it has for me. Like I looked at going into that game, and we all came into the office that night thinking we're going to be talking about a 4-game losing streak to the 7 people that are actually watching the show after they lost late on a Saturday night. And instead they shut out the Vegas Golden Knights. Bill Armstrong said something to me the other day. He said, there are small victories for a franchise in the midst of a rebuild. That was a small victory. That's the kind of thing that you just a little piece that you slide in there to stack other things on top of. This team was in trouble. They had lost 3 straight games. They couldn't defend. They were banged up. You're going in on the road to face the defending Stanley Cup champs, And what happens? You shut them out 2-0. That helps the psyche of the team so much. And I'm not saying that this is a major turning point for the team. Again, a tiny piece, but they needed it so badly. Kudos to the Coyotes for going out and getting that done and really, to me, just altering the picture of where this team is right now because of such an important win for them.
I'm wondering, though, because when Leah puts it and frames it, where did you expect this team to be? And we're sitting at 500 after 20. We're talking about this team at 500 after 20 games and thinking that's pretty good.
Yep.
This team last year after the first 20 was 7-10-3.
Yep.
So this is an improvement.
Yeah.
This is an improvement. And to be fair, and I am going to throw them under the bus again, if the goaltending was stronger in some of those games, they might even be higher than 500 right now. So from the outsider looking in, I think 500. The playoff picture right now in the West, I think I read something this morning. The pace is at a 78-point pace because the West is so bad.
For the wild cards?
Yeah. The second wild card position right now is on pace for 70. It won't. They said, and in the article as you read it, it was projected into the 80s, but it's nowhere near the 95 that we were talking about earlier.
That it is every year.
Because of the mediocrity right now in the West, in the top-heavy West. So at 500, we shouldn't be talking about playoffs.
No.
But because of the way this is falling out with all the mediocre starts, it's real.
I mean, Seattle is in a playoff position right now, and they're below 500. And all that they have 2 games in hand, so they have like more wins or whatever, or more points, the opportunity for more points. But I mean, there's a lot of 500 teams hanging right around there.
It was Seattle times. It was points per game, and then multiply it by 82, and Seattle comes in with less than 80 points.
It's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Again, it's going to change, and that I still believe it's going to be 90 points to get in, but not 95.
Not 95. I agree
it's
with
not
you
this
there.
year. So the Coyotes, is it real still? And if they can get through this stretch where they're injury riddled right now, if they can get through this stretch at or near 500 still, then the answer is yes. So have they taken a step this season? Without question, this team is better than they were, and I'm surprised.
You are surprised.
I think the step was expected. I'm surprised that we're talking playoffs.
How would you have felt if they had lost that game to Vegas?
Then I think this team is on a 7-game losing streak minimum, and I think that it'd be hard to because it's hard to dig your way out.
Yeah.
Because then they lose this one, then they lose Tampa, then they lose Colorado, and then you go, and then they stay. I think it's hard. It spins out of control. Now there's that little sense of belief. And I thought Craig and I were at practice today, and you listened to Andre Tournier, like he was
cooking today.
Yeah, he was cooking today. He was barking at those guys.
He was. You could tell, like we saw him walking between the rings because they do this thing at the ice tent where they switch sheets so that they can be on fresh ice and do different things. He had a dead serious look on his face. Did not look like a coach coming off a shutout of the Stanley Cup chance and he made the point to us later when we were talking to him, Petey, it's not a league where you just do it one night.
Yeah.
You got to bring this every night. So don't get happy that you beat the Stanley Cup chance. Because again, they had lost 3 games before that, and then they had done a lot of bad things in those games. So you better stay focused. You better do the things that led to this sort of success.
Yeah, and even though he was unhappy at moments in that practice, I still felt that there was something different about that. There wasn't this black cloud hanging over that team and that arena. It just didn't feel like that today. Even though they had a hard practice, guys were in a little different mood and they were more positive. And I think that breeds, we talked about breeds winning. Now, do I say they're going to come out and win the next 2? I'm not that bold, but I think they saw the recipe success. Don't make mistakes. Just don't make mistakes and
It's
have
a game
chance.
of mistakes, right? You're going to make mistakes, but yeah, like the egregious ones that we saw. Just like, what are you doing? Manage the puck better, right? Manage the puck better.
So I think they have a chance over the next 2, and I'm once they get through this injury stretch, if they're still at around 500, this team literally has a chance to make the playoffs.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
It's crazy. Well, let's talk about some of the things that are going right, and I would say
2 of the guys we had on our screen.
Yeah,
that some people know.
That some people know, at least our chat knows, Lawson, Crouse, and Matias Maccelli, those 2 are having unbelievable seasons so far.
Chemistry. What chemistry these 2 guys have. And I think I brought this up in the last show. Like everybody's on board the Matias Maccelli train at this point. He's an elite passer. He is just a pleasure to watch when he has the puck on his stick. The vision, the timing, and the ability to put the puck in tight spaces, they're all elite. They're amazing to watch, and everybody's seen it now. I mean, we got a thing, right, for Matias Maccelli. We got a thing. Lawson Crouse has 10 goals this month, and I know that Matias Maccelli's the guy setting him up. But people are like, well, where would he be without Maccelli? You're right. He wouldn't have as much success without Maccelli. But scoring goals in the NHL is the hardest thing to do. You still have to finish that opportunity. Lawson Crouse has been finishing. These two guys belong. And I don't want to diminish Nick Bjugstad's role on this line, but these two guys really fit well together.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talk about Maccelli, and you're like, oh, Crouse is not because of Maccelli. We put Maccelli's picture on the screen to guys that know the National Hockey League pretty well and no idea who he is. It's not like he's got Panarin on his wing, or, he's not. It's Matias Maccelli. And I know we know what he is. And I think eventually he will get that national recognition. But these two guys playing so well together. And whatever Lawson Crouse is doing after going scoreless in October, keep doing it.
Yeah.
You mentioned those two, the one's leading in goals, one's leading in assists. And we're not talking about Keller or Schmaltz.
I laughed at the quote in Craig's story yesterday on the same topic, evaluating the Coyotes at the quarter mark, of Claire Crouse saying they moved in their new house at the end of October, and maybe he's trying to work hard to help pay off the house.
There you go.
That was a good quote. It was a good quote.
Claire's a quote machine, actually.
Yeah. So.
Well, and what would be interesting to see, and that's one of the things to follow over the next 48, 72 hours, is he has the most goals ever from a Coyote in the month of November, ever.
Wow.
And now he's just chasing some old time Jets right now, and he's one away.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on him. He's got 2 games to go.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wow. And I know I've said this as well, but there was some criticism of the Coyotes extension that they gave Lawson Crouse when they gave it to him. I mean, this is a classic case where, okay, you can dive into the deeper numbers, but you better be watching this guy. You better be understanding everything that he is bringing to the table on the ice, and not just on the ice, as we found out, Leah, when we talked to Andre Tournier in the first edition of Bare Necessities, which you should definitely watch on YouTube, by the way. Shameless plug there. He brings a lot to the leadership group. He's the caretaker. He's the new Shane Doan.
I even remember during rookie camp that he was like, Logan Cooley said that Lawson Crouse was driving him everywhere and like showing him around and was driving him to the rink and stuff like that. Like that, stuff like that. That's important in a locker room.
Yeah.
And it's not just the on ice performance of what he's been doing, which has been the best on the team in the month of November, but those intangibles as well. That's so important to a team. So we'll move on from them and talk about the blue line, maybe not so cheery here. What are your thoughts on the Coyotes blue line at the quarter mark?
This is already a group of 6, 7, or 8 that came into the season below the midpoint in the league. I think that we talked about this was going to be one of the weaknesses of this team. And then on top of that, you look at the injuries, and it has been at the back end, between Valimaki and Dumba missed a game here and Dermott's missed games. This is a blue line that can't afford to have that kind of injuries behind it. So, they still need to improve. There needs to be some improvements on this back end. That is the fear still of this team making the playoffs, is their ability to keep the puck and manage the puck well from the back end.
Yeah. And when you're talking about what moves the Coyotes might make this season, this is where it fascinates me. Because I'm curious whether you want to do you want to make an addition that's going to help you make the playoffs this season? Do you want to make an addition that's going to help you for years to come? I still think they're in the latter group. I don't think the Coyotes are in the business of rentals, and unless it's a cheap option, shut down guy if you care about making the playoffs, where you're not giving up a lot, right?
But one of the guys that they did get at the back end that's helped them is Sean Durzi. But you look at Sean Durzi, fills both of those things. Yep. He's an immediate reward because he's adding in the offense. He leads this team in points by a defenseman right now, and so he's helping immediately. But he's also there for the future. And so I think you're right. And I know we keep hearing about Noah Hannafin. Well, what box of those 2 boxes does Noah Hannafin check? I don't think that this team is in a position to give up long-term assets for short-term success in a season where the top in the West is so heavy. I just don't see the benefit of making an extra 4 or 5 games.
Unless it was like a sign and trade.
Again, but that's for the future. Is there a future in Noah Hannafin right now? I don't know.
And they're not gonna just get him as a rental.
Right.
That's not gonna happen. But the other thing that we've talked about, what does it cost you? Like, aside from the acquisition cost, are you giving up too much? Yeah, I agree with you.
But what does it cost in dollars?
Yeah, this is not a cap team. Nothing close to a cap team. So what are you going to pay Hanifin? And then what is that going to prevent you from doing
in the future
if you sign him?
And Bill has shown that he doesn't want to handcuff himself in making decisions for the future. I would be surprised. I would be really surprised if this team. The only way I see this team making a move is if there's more of an injury situation. But even then, they've got guys that they can go down. We saw Kolyachonok, and I know Kolyachonok's out right now, but I think we'd have to go much deeper. I mean, Zuber's a guy they can call up. You've got Kesselring's played. Soderstrom can play. I mean, I personally don't see them giving up any future assets unless it's a player that fits, to your point, like Sean Durzi, that checks both boxes, immediate and future.
But they didn't even give up a ton for Sean Durzi.
No, they only gave up a second-round pick, which is amazing.
And I was like, the Coyotes have 1,000 of those.
Yes.
So many of these wins with the deals. Like, we could look at Bill Armstrong's trade history. It's great. Like, look at what Shane Gostisbehere is doing right now.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and that's why Durzi's
just a reminder that they got him for nothing.
Durzi's been another one that's been a real pleasant surprise for the first 20 games. Like, as he said, he's already leading this team in points right now. He's got 5 goals already from the back end. He has been a better player than I had anticipated him. I thought he'd be a specialty power play guy only.
Same.
And I thought he'd struggle 5-on-5, and he's +5 right now.
Yep.
So he's been a huge addition to this team. And one of the brightest spots in the first 20 games, I think, has been Sean Durzi.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. Well, we mentioned Kolyachonok. We did get an update on him right before the show. So let's talk about injury updates, because you've actually got quite a few of them.
Quite a few, today. Yeah. Like, the only one we're still waiting on further info is Jack McBain at this point, which, probably a little concerned that we haven't even seen him skating yet. But today on the ice, Petey and I were there. Juuso Välimäki was on the ice in a full shield, which was a surprise. Andre told us he's not ready yet, but
he practiced the entire practice.
He practiced the entire practice, which means he ain't far away. Yeah. Right. Travis Dermott was on the ice today. Matt Dumba was on the ice today, and Andre told us both of them will probably be in the lineup against Tampa. So that's 2 bodies. I know people were wondering, who are they going to recall when Kolyachonok goes down? Well, Dermott. It doesn't look like they're going to have to
Dermott
recall
in the wings.
They've got these guys back. We already know Barrett Hayton's 4 to 6 weeks. Kolyachonok's now listed as week to week. Unfortunately, poor kid comes up and plays like 6 minutes and takes a huge hit and could barely get off the ice. You could see him favoring the legs, so he's going to be out a while. It's too bad. That's a big blow for Tucson more than anything else. So the only one, like I said, we're still waiting on is Jack McBain. It's just they've had a lot of important injuries early in this season. We're a quarter of the way through, and they've been hit hard. But if these few guys are back in the lineup, at least now it's just about, and I don't want to diminish it, it's about the center position where they're missing 2 really important pieces.
Yeah, and like to your point, we haven't seen Barrett Hayton and Jack McBain near the rink yet. Now, whether they're there for treatment, but they're nowhere near the ice. And
but Barrett Hayton being away, it's like that's fine because we have our expectations managed. The Jack McBain one, what was it? They said 3 weeks, and it's been 3 weeks.
Yeah,
and he's still nowhere to be found.
Still nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, that's a concern. This team, he's one of those players that this team needs, and I know he's at a bottom 6 forward for this team, but plays very important minutes in his role and what he does. I think if we keep talking, you want to talk playoffs, I think both of those 2 guys need to be in the lineup. And one of the other areas that I know we needed to talk about was the power play, and Barrett Hayton's absence on that power play, I think, is noticeable. I know Kerfoot is taking over that spot planted in front of the net in the blue paint, but he hasn't been able to do the job. No affront to Kerfoot at all. Like, Barrett Hayton is exceptional at that role, at retrievals and screens and getting to that hard area, and I think that's been an impact on the power play, and a power play that, by the way, is still in the top 10. So it's been a pleasant surprise, but they've scoreless in 4. They need to get a goal here.
Yeah, and you talked to Andre about it today, and I know that's going to be up. We're going to have that clip at some point too.
Yep.
And he felt like some of it is just the ebbs and flows of a season. It's not going in, but there are concerns that you mentioned as well.
Yeah. Special teams, as you mentioned, they're top 10 for power play, 13th for penalty kill.
Which is
the penalty kill
far
is
cry from where it was. Like, they were way worse.
Early in
the season.
17,
they're bottom 3rd.
17 straight penalties killed.
They've been lights out on the and if this team, if the benchmark, if you could be top 10 in both of those categories, there's very few teams, and when you go across the league, that are top 10 in both of those categories. That would be a huge accomplishment for this team if they can continue to kill penalties and crack the top 10 on the penalty kill as well.
Yeah. So all very interesting stuff. And I think that, to me, is probably one of the most surprising things at this point in the season. But in big games ahead with 2 other defending Stanley Cup champs coming to town. And you can bet on those games over at BetMGM, whether you're betting just the money line, the puck line, or you can bet player props. That's always a fun one. So check that out as well. Maybe you think the power play is going to finally click. You can bet on players to score power play points. Like, there's so many different specific things that you can bet. And as I do every single week, I reached out to Shane and Sean for a BetMGM parlay pick. And Sean, who is still here in the chat, sent me one, and he calls this one the What Chaos parlay.
Nice.
And this is it. Buffalo Sabres at New York Rangers over 6 goals. Boston Bruins -1.5, and Coyotes money line, Tampa Bay at Arizona tomorrow.
Aggressive.
Okay, you want to know the odds on this parlay though?
It's huge. Has to be huge.
Plus 666.
Oh, might stay away
The
from
cursed
that one.
parlay.
I might stay away from that one.
But Sean said, this is what he said. Sabres can't play defense for their lives. Yotes are galvanized after Knights win, and Columbus is the most embarrassing team in the East. And that's for the Boston leg. So if you want to bet on that cursed parlay, you can do so over at BetMGM. Sign up using the bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10, and you'll receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. You can check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
You know, I know it's an expensive time of year, the holidays, you're buying gifts, you're buying food, whatever it is. Save some money on gas by joining the Circle K Inner Circle, because right when you sign up, you'll save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. And, you know, gas, it's not cheap, and might as well save. So great way to save on gas by joining the Inner Circle. It's completely free, and all you have to do is download the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I know we're all part of the Inner Circle, and I promise you it is a thing, and you do save on gas. All right, let's continue the conversation around Coyotes at the quarter mark.
Okay.
And let's
just one more thing, because we were talking about injuries, and I literally was just told that Jack McBain's like weeks away still.
Shoot.
So that's not good to hear. That's a tough one for them. They're going to be without 2 centers for a while here. So they're really, really going to have to dig deep. Anyway,
that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Well, okay. Did you have anything to say?
No, I am. That's a concern, and we one of the things we talked about, we can get into a little bit here in this segment, is what do they need to do, and that may come into play.
All right. Well, we'll start the part 2 conversation, and we won't spend too much time because we spent a lot of time on Friday. You can go back and watch that show. But Logan Cooley.
We talked about this after the Vegas game. That was an encouraging game, but as Andre said today, it's not a league of one game. You got to bring it every night. We saw good things from him in that game, aside from his lack of willingness to shoot the puck. And Andre had a funny thing he said today: if I'm playing with Sidney Crosby, if there's 7 guys between me and Sidney, I'm still going to try and get him the puck. That's deferral, right? When you're playing with Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller, you understand that, but you got to get past that because you have to understand what the play is. As Petey pointed out, when he diagrammed those 3 shooting opportunities, you have to know what the play is in this moment. It can't be, oh, I'm not confident, I'd rather get it to no, you need to know what the A play is in this situation, and it was shooting the puck. But aside from that, in that game, he was pretty solid. He was solid defensively. There was one point where I thought he saved a goal, a scoring chance, and he obviously set up the game-winning goal. Yeah,
it's a guy that when they were in Australia, I might have overshot the moon on Logan Cooley a little bit to start the season. and I set the bar pretty high, and you look at his points, he still leads the rookies in assists. That's impressive, especially on a team that doesn't score a lot of goals. So I think the biggest thing that we need to see from Logan Cooley going forward, though, is his ability to do the little things like defend and not turn the puck over. I think the goals are going to come for that kid. I think he's going to find the net soon. I really do. And I thought, to your point, I thought Vegas was a stepping stone in doing that. The concern for a young player is those defensive mistakes and being a defensive liability. And we saw the turnovers he's had, over the last few weeks have been just egregious. If he can manage the puck better, I think that's a huge step forward. Even if you don't see him on the score sheet, I think those things are really important for his development. And he stepped forward playing with Keller and Schmaltz. So he's going to get to do it again.
Yep.
He's going to do it again against Tampa Bay tomorrow night. Maybe he continues to progress that way. I think the future is bright for him. I am concerned right now that he has no buffer up the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
There's no one else. Like with McBain and Hayton being injured, you're really throwing Cooley into the fire, and now he's got to be the guy. We talk about Chicago's lineups is bad. Like, and we talked about the names with the Chaos guys, and you go actually look at their lineup, and it's bad. There are some options here, but if they continue to get injuries, Logan Cooley is going to play more minutes than I think Bear had him playing in the early part of the season. And he's going to have to play in situations that Coach Turney was able to keep him out of in the first 20 games. Now he's going to be forced to play in those situations. Maybe that helps his development long term, but I think he's going to have some difficulties over the next few games because of that, because he's going to play more important minutes than he's played over the first 20.
Did you guys see the Bruce Cassidy quote the other night? Yeah. He said, quote, basically a teenager outworked our defense to get a puck to the front of the net in a very close game, so that shouldn't happen. So, got a little shout from Bruce Cassidy there. All right, next topic, and we have a big update on this one. The goaltenders at the 20-game mark, and as someone tweeted today, our national nightmare is over. I'm just kidding. Connor Ingram will get the start tomorrow night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, thus ending the every other goalie rotation we've seen through the first 20 games. It finally ended. We have 2 videos up right now at PHNX_Coyotes on Twitter with Andre Tourigny kind of expanding on this decision and also kind of doubling down on his decision to rotate the goalies. But thoughts on the goalies through 20?
I mean, it had to happen. It had to happen. We all said it after the Vegas game. He's got a shutout. You got to do it anyway. So it's almost like you forced their hand, right?
I think it made it easier.
Yeah.
Again, yeah. I'm wondering what if he gives up one of those goals 5-on-3 and it ends up being 2-1? Is it still Ingram? I don't know.
Neither do I. I wondered the same thing.
Because they were so, as an organization, so steadfast in the alternating. And the only ones that were saying it were the guys inside the coach's room, because there wasn't anybody else that we've talked to, whether they're in the media, in the fan base, that was going, oh, yeah, we got to keep switching. Well, everybody's going, why the hell isn't Ingram playing? And I would challenge that I don't know if Karel Vejmelka isn't saying the same thing. And now it's easy. Now it's done.
Yep.
Now it's done. Connor Ingram's going to play. Now, Connor Ingram, I think, is playing the best hockey of his career right now. I really do.
Yep.
I think he's been on fire, even though he had a loss a couple of games ago. Last night, he was extremely dialed in. He plays like that. Tomorrow against Tampa gives them a chance to win. There's no guarantees because Tampa's better. Tampa's a better hockey team. But he gives them a chance to win, and it gives the players belief. And you can do a lot of things when you believe. And I felt that this team started to lose that confidence and belief in Karel Vejmelka. And I think they played different in front of each of the goaltenders. And I think you could see it. Remember we talked about the bench when Carter Hutton would give up a goal. Like, oh, shit, here we go again. Yeah. And I know Karel Vejmelka is going to come out of it. I know he is. He's a good goaltender. But it's not right now. So I think this is a bold step for this organization to go with Connor Ingram twice in a row. And to be truthful, if the 3 of us were managing this team, this decision would have been made 2 weeks ago. So I think this is good. I'm glad he got the shutout to propel this into existence. Now they don't have to stick to it anymore. Now they're over it. Now they're done. Now you can go 2-1. You can go 3-2. Vejmelka can play 5.
That's what I'm curious about, how they play it out from here. Yeah. Like, say they, I mean, if he wins,
he's in.
He is, right?
Yes, without a doubt. I don't think he needs a shutout. He needs to win. He wins 6-5. He's in.
But if they lose like 3-2, you come back with Vejmelka against Colorado?
I think he's still playing.
Then we go back to our minds being in a pretzel about goalie.
Yep. I think he only comes out against Colorado if he is egregiously bad. And I mean 5-1, 6-1, 7-1 on bad goals. If it's 3-2 in a tight one and he makes 30 saves, I think he's going back against Colorado. I do. Even with a loss. A win, it's automatic. Yeah. If he wins the game tomorrow, he's playing Thursday, period.
All right.
Book it. Until they change their mind.
Yeah, Petey is so good at this.
Yes.
All right. next one, the UFA signings. Obviously, Nick Bukestad comes back. Troy Stetcher comes back. Matt Dumba signs. Alex Kerfoot signs. Jason Zucker signs. Thoughts on those guys? I know everyone has their thoughts on Matt Dumba, and we've talked about some of those already on previous shows. But if you either maybe had to judge them as a group or, single in on one in particular, either good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, with Dumba, he's the one guy who still has something to prove. I mean, you're not getting great production from these guys, but I don't think they thought they were going to be honest. They wanted veteran leadership. They wanted good guys in the room. They wanted good mentors. And they wanted guys who could provide depth to this forward group that it didn't have before. And when you look at some of the roles they're filling, like we've talked about Alex Kerfoot on the penalty kill, he's been excellent there. So you've had guys filling roles. Nick Bukestad has been, again, recaptured his chemistry with Matias, Maccelli, and Lawson Crouse. Jason Zucker, I know he got hurt for a little while, but he's chipped in with some offense. He's a good mentor to have around. So as a group, I would say they've sort of provided what we thought they were going to provide. The one guy, again, that you need to see a little bit more from is Matt Dumba, because I think they expected significantly more from him, particularly at the defensive end. I don't think they were expecting the Matt Dumba of 8 years ago chipping in offensively the way he was, not chipping in, like producing significant offense. They thought he was going to be a shutdown defender, a hard defender. We know he can deliver the big hits. We heard from Minnesota people that he was so good defensively second half of last year. He hasn't been that guy.
Yeah, I think the offensive side is what he thinks he can be. I'm not sure the team is looking for him to be the defensive, and that's what Sean Durzee's here for. I don't know if Dumba was brought in here to add points, and I think maybe he put too much on his shoulders coming into this season. I agree with you. He's a -9 on this team right now, and that's for a shutdown defenseman. That's tough. And I think when we watch him make mistakes, they're over exuberant mistakes. He's trying too much. He's going too far. He's overextending as opposed to, lazy, soft mistakes. I think he's going places he probably shouldn't go, and he should play more defensive and more soft. Having sat out the last game with a lower body injury and now expect him to be back, maybe that's just the little jolt he got to sit in the press box and watch, and maybe he can come out of this, because we sat over the summer and talked about what kind of player he is, and we saw it. We watched him on film, and I go, oh my gosh, this kid can defend. And his role in Minnesota wasn't, your job is to defend. You're playing with Jonas Brodin, and you're going to defend. And they defended extremely well with a big, heavy hitter, like you said. We haven't seen that Matt Dumba yet. And I think this is the time he's going to have to prove that. He's got to do it now. Like he wants to rejuvenate his career, and he wants to be a guy that by trade deadline they go, gosh, we need Matt Dumba to add to our cup running team.
Yep.
Hasn't happened yet.
Yep. And this is the segment, like you said.
Yep, I agree.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess that kind of plays into the next question, because looking ahead at the next 27 games, not 20, because 27 games gets us to the All-Star break.
The NHL never divides it up evenly.
Why would you?
Yeah.
No. Where's the All-Star game?
Toronto.
Are you going?
I really want to.
Okay, we got to make that happen.
Yep, we will see.
Not me.
Oh boy.
Same.
Anywho, I'll go. Twist my arm. What are the needs for the next 27 games, and what do you foresee the next 27 games being like?
I'm really curious about all this, and I'm going to write about it soon. I don't know how they're going to approach, like if they're still in the playoff picture when we get to the All-Star break, how are they going to approach that? Now, we just mentioned 2 key injuries that are going to impact whether they can stay in the playoff picture, but we also mentioned that the Western Conference is not so great past
Garbage.
the top 5, maybe 5, 6 teams, probably 5 teams. I'm really curious if they're going to try and add, or do they fall off? So much hinges on this next stretch. And actually, the trade deadline's not till March, so we get a little longer on that. But there's not a lot of games in February. This is the segment where we're really going to find out about this team. We're going to know who they are. By the time they get to the All-Star break, we'll have a really good sense of whether this is still a team that is going to be competing for a playoff spot, or if it's like past seasons, it's time to sell.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little more granular on what do they need. I'll inside the organization, because you're right. I think the trade stuff, I don't see it, and I don't see them looking for short-term gains. I think what do they need inside the room? I think you need to see their top players be their top players again. And I don't know if we've seen Schmaltz and Keller have the Schmaltz and Keller show since Barrett Hayton's been out. Maybe Cooley can jumpstart that now with his 3rd game with that line tomorrow night. because I think Keller, I want to do that for tomorrow night show, Leah. Make a note. We need to compare where he's at the 20-game mark this year
do it.
versus the 20-game mark last year to see if he's on pace, because right now, I think their production on that top group has fallen off where they're not leading the group. Now it is the Bugsteg, Maccelli, Crouse line that's really carried this team offensively. I think they need more balanced scoring. I think it's going to be a key for this team. They need more balanced scoring, which is going to be hard to find with McBain and Hayton out of the lineup. I think that's going to be one of the keys. I think they're going to have to also be better than they've been over the last 5 on the power play. This team needs to they're going to struggle for offense. We talked about that all season, and for years this team struggles to create offense. They need to create offense with the man advantage. They've got the right guys out there. They've got talented, skilled players. They can't go 4 games without a goal. That's not good enough. So I think the power play is going to be better. And the third thing for me, we've seen it, and thank God they broke it up now. I think it's the goaltending. And the goaltending, Vejmelka he has to find his game again. And I don't know if he's found it even since training camp. I haven't seen him be the Vejmelka we saw a year ago. I think Ingram is taking a step forward, and I think he's played better this season than he did a year ago. And I think Vejmelka, there were stretches last year that he was absolutely unbeatable. I don't think we've seen that goalie. This franchise believes they need 2 goalies to win. The goaltending has to be more consistent, and it has to be better if this team's going to make the playoffs.
Would you add a shutdown defenseman for nominal cost?
Yes.
Like
a third-round pick?
Yeah, like if you can get somebody for a third-round pick, would you add that to this roster?
I would.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I would. And I'd even consider, Craig, I would even consider an older defenseman that's experienced that might be a 2-year player.
Yeah.
That isn't a 3 or 4-year guy. That, yes, for a third-round pick.
Yeah. And help bridge the gap to those guys coming in.
Hannafin's not going to be a third-round pick. No. And that's the problem. And I think that's why I don't think it's Noah Hannafin. But there are good players that are going to be there at the trade deadline for a third-round pick. There are. And one of the places you can find them is that shutdown D, because they just don't have the value. They get undervalued because they're not putting up points. That is the one thing I would absolutely trade for. And the only other exception to that, Craig, is if McBain ends up being longer than we expected, meaning, oh my gosh, this is serious and this is going to be a longer term. I don't know if they're good enough up the middle. And I you can't sell the farm for it.
Yeah.
But if you can get an NHL centerman, just an NHL centerman, not a top 6 from a good team, but a centerman that is an experienced NHL centerman, I think this team might need that, again, just to make the playoffs. And again, you can't spend more than a third-round pick.
But you're looking at, I mean, if McBain's out weeks, and Barrett Hayton is also, like you're talking about getting to Christmas.
Yeah,
without either of those guys, that could be
long.
That could really hurt the team. So
Anaheim's lost 5, 6, 7 in a row now. That could be the Coyotes.
Yeah,
and if that's the Coyotes, then it's a sell off at trade deadline. And the bigger issue that the sell off would be is who's got any value if this team is that far in the playoffs. Who's the guy that's got enough value to trade? Right now, the guys like Bugstad last year was a tradable asset. Gostisbehere was a tradable asset. Is Dumba? Is Zucker?
Yeah, I wonder the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not putting up. I mean, I think Jason Zucker still would be a value, but I don't know what that value is.
Yeah, I don't know what that value is.
It's probably not a second-round pick.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of hockey between now.
Maybe it is a second-round pick. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
between now and the trade deadline,
there's a lot. I mean, yeah. Might as well get the one back that you pitch for Jersey.
Oh, boy. Yeah. You know what the biggest need is right now, I think? Taking advantage of the Cyber Monday sale at PHNXlocker.com. Today is the last day to take advantage of these deals. Not up to 90% off. As I mentioned the other night, there's literally a shirt in the locker right now that's 99 cents. You can get shirts up to 90% off. Team gears at least 20% off. PHNX gears 33% off. Hats and hoodies $10 off. And if you spend $75 or more, you'll receive a $15 gift card. Earlier in the chat, Sean said, "Why did no one alert me to the new crew neck?" Sean, it doesn't matter that we didn't alert you till now because it's still Monday and you can still get a discount over at phnxlocker.com. I actually placed an additional order today. Got some hoodies for my family members. So if you're listening,
I'm crew neck and t-shirt all day long. Arizona versus everyone. I'm in, all in.
My Logan Cooley shirt arrived today. I'm extremely excited about that. But I ordered.
Maybe we should wear it to the game tomorrow. Maybe that'll boost him over the top.
I ordered the new.
You want to tell Paul?
Paul, it's the Chris Paul shirt, which makes sense. He's not here anymore, but it's a fire shirt.
It's a very good shirt.
I think if you're just a basketball fan, it's a great shirt. But yeah, check out the locker. And also, Sean pointed out earlier that Craig and I are matching. We did conspire against Petey and matched But we're all rocking PHNXlocker.com today. And everything that we are wearing is currently on sale. So make sure you take advantage today.
We would have texted you, but you wouldn't have read it.
You wouldn't have read it.
The funny thing is, if you would have texted and emailed, I still would have not shown up.
Yeah.
And slacked.
That's true.
And only a phone call.
Yep.
PD is a big phone caller.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And no, it's funny, but I know we got to wrap this up. It's already been an hour and a half, but you can just tell.
You
can tell. Like, because I call Leah, and you can just tell the annoyance in her voice the second hello. Like, you just know. Shit, I probably could have texted her.
You know what you should start with instead? You again?
Yeah. Because I don't think her generation, I mean, my sons, they don't call, they text.
Hello, Petey.
And so it's just like
it's so funny because, like,
bad time?
You and Saul do this where, like, you'll call on things that could so be a text, but then you'll, like, text things, and I'm like, this needs to be a call.
Yeah, I know.
But it's funny. I love my phone calls from you.
I'll do better.
No, I do. I when your name pops up on my phone, it's a joy.
Yeah,
it's a joy.
Wow.
All right. As we wrap up here,
Straight up lying here.
Okay, be sure to. I'm not lying about Desert Financial Credit Union and how great they are.
For Craig, it's good enough for you. That should be their slogan.
That is true.
Yeah, I feel like it should.
That's their motto.
Because Desert Financial
slogan.
has been around for 84 years, and Craig has been a member for 84 years.
All 85 of those.
They're Arizona's largest,
had one of those in a while.
most trusted local credit union. And right now, when you open a free checking account online, you'll get $200 in bonuses. Great time of year to do that, as I mentioned.
Free?
Yeah, 200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. And the Coyotes are actually on a real homestand, not just a fake, like, 2-game one. They're on a real homestand. So if you want to go check them out in person, head over to Game Time to get your tickets. Lowest prices guaranteed, especially when you wait till the last minute. So if you want to buy tickets to tomorrow's game, I would recommend waiting until tomorrow. And if you haven't downloaded the Game Time app yet, create an account, use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we'll wrap up.
We out?
Because I know Craig has to leave.
Yeah, busy.
But thank you, guys.
Look at the mid-range Assassins, 90% off.
Really? That's literally one of my favorite shirts.
That's a cool shirt.
I love that shirt.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Pete and DJ for
that's
What
fun.
Chaos.
That's
They're
a fun
so
segment.
fun.
That was a fun segment.
Yeah.
It's never going to be 10 minutes, though.
No, it's not.
The Coyotes trivia
build
was
in.
hilarious. Like, their answers to some of
We
them.
should.
really good.
I feel like we need to
Fantastic.
do that again next week.
Yeah.
With
Just-
different players and
You know what
see
we
if they
should
can
do? We
redeem.
should actually put in, like, Hobby Bull and Kachuk, and I bet they still get it wrong.
Yeah.
Do it
Can
in
we
the
put a cigarette
Kachina.
in Nikki's mouth?
Do it in the Kachinas, and like Jeremy Roanoke.
And we'll say it's current player.
We'll tell them it's current, but we'll put JR Kachuk because I don't think they'll get it. And Happy Bull and those three. Can we do it? And
Yeah.
Briere
Can't
and
wait.
Doan.
They'll get JR.
Well,
They might get JR and Kachuk because they're both, they're
Doan-
both Boston guys.
Doan,
If you
Briere,
don't get Doan,
Kachuk,
I mean,
Roanoke, and Happy Bull. Those five.
That's
But
fun.
we'll say they're current Coyotes.
we'll try. Oh boy. All right.
All right.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. Again, thanks so much for watching along. Hit the like button. There is like double the number of people watching as likes. So do that. And if you're listening on audio, go ahead and hit the little 5-star button. And if you care to, write us a review as well. It helps us out immensely. You can follow us on Twitter at @SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, at Craig S. Morgan, at Abrica Danielle, and follow the show at PHNX_Coyotes. We'll be live tomorrow night for a post-game show after the Coyotes take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday, everyone, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.